Coming this spring to planet Earth. Prepare yourselves. Free Your Mind Too, a conference on consciousness, mind control, and the occult. Held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on April 25th, 26th, and 27th, 2013. The Free Your Mind 2 conference will feature over 24 top-caliber whistleblowers from all across America, each bringing forth their unique perspective to shed light upon our world's problems, while at the same time offering empowering solutions. We are proud to announce that the venue for Free Your Mind 2 will be the beautiful Arch Street Meeting House in the historic district of the city. Be a part of the light bomb that is going to shake the world's consciousness this spring. Reserve your tickets today and visit www.freeyourmindconference.com.
Hello and welcome to the Free Your Mind 12-hour conspiracy marathon. Today we're going to blow your mind. We're going to go to conscious levels of cosmic scales. You better believe this is going to be out of this world. Today we are interviewing many of the guests from the Free Your Mind 2 conference. Sponsor a speaker, $1,500 or more if you're really up there and want to really jump in on this. You get the VIP treatment throughout the Free Your Mind 2 conference. You get introduced as a guest of honor at the speaker meet and greet. You get the ARC drive, you get the radionic zapper, and everything else I've mentioned, along with the DVDs and as much love and everything that we can give you along the way. So that's $1,500 and above. So all of those are listed on the freeyourmindconference.com website, along with the chip-in, where you can just go right there with your PayPal. Or if you do not have a PayPal or you don't like to use it, you can go straight through the phone lines. So 215-500-0354 is the number that you want to call for that. And I believe we have Cathy and Mark on the line here, Frater.
Oh, man, I am so excited. This is amazing. I just want to say that I am truly honored to be a part of all this, and I agree with Freeman. This is going to go above and beyond with all the great guests, and I want to thank everybody who's been a part of this. So take it away, Freeman.
All right. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I appreciate it, my friend. We of course, we both share a passion for getting the stuff out, meaning those things that are our so-called mass media have a tendency to overlook, if you will. And, of course, the things that are not overlooked are so distorted by the time that a viewer or a listener or even a reader hears it, it's an entirely different thing.
Absolutely. We have been covering the Sandy Hook monstrosity a bit on this show, and I mean, there's so many leaps and bounds in this. It's astonishing. It absolutely seems a case of some sort of ritual sacrifice, if not just a political sacrifice.
I think maybe it's a political sacrifice, but the bottom line is to the whole thing is that we know they have an agenda. And I use that word "they" only one time. I hope I don't have to use it again tonight. When I say "they," I'm talking about really the members of our secret government that are actually running things in Washington. This has been known since the Eisenhower days. He warned against it, and of course it was already in place then, and it's in place now, except much, much stronger. And we have a president that's no more than a puppet, same as the others have been. And I'm sure you would agree with me that when people say, well, that president didn't live up to this, he didn't do that, et cetera, et cetera. He really doesn't have any control or power to what to do.
We absolutely agree with that, and even go further and beyond with our beliefs on who the president might be and how this all ties together. Well, I want to alert the audience. We are welcoming here Mark Phillips to the air, co-author with Cathy O'Brien to Transformation of America. Is that correct?
That's correct, and also access denied for reasons of national security, which we like to refer to as the antidote to trans. Trans was not written for the public. That was just a condensed version of our congressional testimony. And I mean condensed, too. It was really hard to get into those few pages, the highlights of what our testimony was before Congress.
I bet.
I'm sorry?
So,
I bet.
Mark, we're talking. Mark, I want to welcome you also and say thank you so much for being here for this conversation right now. And we would like to delve a little bit more into this right now because, as you've already stated, Mark, you're going to be presenting material from your new book, which is Access Denied, correct?
That's correct. And Access Denied has taken off. Of course, the Transformation of America has been in print since 1995. And it's now going into its, I believe it's 16th printing in the English edition, and it's in now 11 languages throughout the world.
Wow.
Access Denied is following suit. It is going into its third printing, and I believe the number of foreign publishers is 4 so far. And I've got 2 of them under contract now that'll raise it to 6. But we're very happy to get Access Denied out there because we're like you. We're all about solutions, and to put a problem out there and not show a clear solution for it, I feel is very wrong and very ill-advised. So. We do have a solution, and the solution, of course, is awareness and knowledge. And we would like to address your listeners, if assuming that they're going to be at the event in April, with the exact what we experienced and how we managed to survive it.
It is an amazing tale, and we were speculating before you came on about how much you must recognize the openness to your topic now as compared to back in 1995, and how, the very words trauma-based mind control are now almost common.
Well, Cathy, I told Cathy in the very beginning, I said, it's important that we get this information out to the public. I said, that's an element of safety. I said, the biggest element was the fact that they said in open court, as a matter of record, that our case was a national security issue and no further adjudication could take place based on that premise. Well, that saved us. That also made them look extremely guilty. The fact remains is we have survived since 1995, and we managed to work with mostly mental health workers, both from psychiatrists to psychologists to social workers. We work with police forces, both state and federal and county, all over the United States and in Canada as well. This has kept us on the very forefront all these years of not only knowing what's progressing so far as technology goes, but you got, just like you said, in 1995, we weren't even allowed to say the words mind control. We had to call it behavior modification because mind control was not even understood or known, and there was so much disinformation out there about it that most people just really didn't know. And thanks to the media, in this case, soap operas and motion pictures and this sort of thing, they have introduced mind control into our society, where people now understand generally what it is, and they also appreciate someone clarifying that mind control is a very, very sliding scale problem. You can control someone's mind by simply controlling what they hear and see and learn. So, hence why somebody reading one of our history books today, compared to a history book that was, say, put in schools in the 1950s, I don't think you'd recognize it, because so much history has been rewritten quite deliberately. So that's one form of mind control, and it's a very powerful form, because socially engineering a populace using the medias is perhaps the easiest, simplest way to get people to just become apathetical and turn their backs on what's happening in front of their faces. And we're out here doing what we can, like you, to open people's eyes and minds to the facts, and also giving them suggestions on how they can make a difference for all of us.
Does it appear to you that pop culture is now using mind control as a form of art?
As a form of art, you say?
Well, as if we see in their music videos, they often show representations of what we've learned about trauma-based mind control as part of their performances.
Well,
such
a
as Lady
lot of that
Gaga
is just introduced in there. I've made a living for us as a script writer and a script treatment writer for some major motion pictures, and I won't get into those at all. But excuse me. So far as it being in the arts, and it is very prevalent, I believe in most instances it's kind of like when you go to a movie, the first thing you're going to see is a real harsh, traumatic event. It always happens that way.
Death of the mother, right off the bat. Any Disney movie.
It's right up front in your face. They're going to have the most traumatic moment of the entire film.
Just watch Finding Nemo.
They're locked in. So, yes, it's used. I totally agree with that.
Right. Yeah, it's popularized. Are you still there, Frater?
Yes, I am. I'm just sitting here, wrapped, just listening to what Mark's saying. I'm just jazzed. I'll tell you.
Well,
mind
control is a very, very, very large subject. And, of course, the type of mind control Cathy and her daughter were subjected to was actually a combination of some forms of the early technological types. But those types are not even used anymore, to my knowledge. And, of course, trauma-based mind control, we found evidence, the CIA has found evidence decades ago of drawings inside of French caves that were, somewhere in the neighborhood of 7,000 or 8,000 years old. Some dated older than that, where the complete formula for mind control was done in pictures, in pictographs, all over the caves.
Wow.
So, mind control is not new, but when religions got a hold of it, and when governments got a hold of it, it became the number one form of control of the masses. And we predicted, matter of fact, it's in our testimony, I predicted that by the year 2000, mind control would become the largest weapon of mass destruction known to man, because it's impossible to see.
Right.
For the vast majority of people, it's impossible to detect. That's why you have all these people blowing themselves up. And when they blow themselves up, they don't just kill themselves, they kill everybody around them.
Well, so you've seen this scenario. We've got Loeffner, we got Holmes, we've got Lanza, these guys going off, seemingly rogue attack lone nut killers, although H1 has been shown to have at least one, if not two or three, accomplices in there, in the Aurora shooting, in the Sandy Hook shooting, and in the Gabriel Giffords shooting. Each time we find manipulating hands behind these people, and then we've, of course, got the suicide at the end of the scenario so that there's no answers.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree. And even though I wasn't a witness to it or a party to any of these things, nor did I know about them in advance, I did know that from my membership in a very large organization that takes in all of the world's intelligence community members that are retired, and some of them still active. But nevertheless, this organization sent out a notice to me back in, I guess it was May or June of last year, stating that there would be efforts in concert with the United States government and its intelligence services to help stimulate the masses into buying into the fact that America needs to be disarmed. Well, of course, that's the strongest subject going on right now. I went to a gun show with my son last weekend, and I was absolutely horrified over the fact that the line to people wanting to get into this gun show, which normally has about 450, 500 tables, the line stretched for well over a mile, and these were two to three people abreast, and normally one of those events attracts about three persons for every table, or roughly 1,200. And, of course, they were having to keep people from going in because of the fire marshal. I mean, people couldn't move in there, much less see anything to buy. So it was a real experience to see people that frightened. But, I mean, I'm talking about, obviously, that's what the fear drove them in there. And it's the fear of losing our Second Amendment right. And I frankly don't blame them.
And amazingly, in an opposite type of scenario after 9/11, as I questioned the New Yorkers on, if they were dropping to their knees for backfires, I got the explanation that no, all of a sudden it seemed as if they had been bonded and unified, and everyone was actually talking to one another on the streets and whatnot. They had gotten the opposite effect out of people.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The vast majority of these quote lone nut killers, I mean, it doesn't take much with now that we have internet. It doesn't take much for someone with just basic research skills to find out that these people had either just come out of the intelligence community associated with the military, or that their parents or parent, their caregiver, was military intelligence or a high-ranking military officer, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, two of them were neuroscientists.
Goes back to the government.
Yeah, two of them were actually neuroscientists. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, an excellent point, which is scarier than crap. I've often said that if anybody needs some sort of psychiatric help, I do know three really good psychiatrists. Now, that's three. And I've worked with thousands all over the world. And I would put three in that category, and two of them are right here in the United States. These people are not drug pushers or drug peddlers like 99.9% of psychiatrists are.
Well, this is a great point, Mark, that you're making. This is the dialogue that should be being had in America, as opposed to gun control. It should be pharmaceutical drug control, and how these drugs are not helping people, and how the APA, like you said, the American Psychiatric Association, has some serious things to answer for, some responsibilities out here that nobody is drawing any attention to.
I know.
And it's because
it's an absolute fact. There have been a number of books. Dr. Colin Ross, a psychiatrist from Canada that I've worked with and hold in high esteem, even though we don't agree on everything as far as treatment modalities go. But and he and a Dr. Peter Bregan, who was Bregan was the author of Toxic Psychiatry, and I wished every high school student that was required reading. And of course, Dr. The other things that Dr. Bregan has done for enlightening the community is he has the respect of his peers. So his peers, after reading that book, they have opened their eyes. So they began to question things. And when DSM-4 was that's the diagnostic manual that all psychologists and psychiatrists and social workers within mental health use to diagnose. The issue of mind control, of course, raised its head again, and the only part of mind control that they could get in was was something that's not related to mind control at all. It just happens to occur usually with it, and that's post-traumatic stress disorder. They did manage to get that in, but beyond that, there is no definitive way in DSM-4 for any psychiatrist or treating physician to help someone whose mind has been horribly altered through either electronic means or trauma.
Yeah. If people wanted to see, now I have read Fritz Springmeier's How to Create Your Own Undetectable Mind Control Slave formula, and then watched the movie. Why is it going to slip my mind right as I'm about to state it? With Ashton Kutcher.
Butterfly Effect.
Butterfly Effect jumped out of my mind. Was there the entire time. The Butterfly Effect, the movie with Ashton Kutcher, is step by step ABC what Fritz Springmeier outlines as trauma-based mind control, and of course it's pedophilia, it's ritual abuse, it's horrific things. And it's a movie, it's like it's made into popular culture.
Well, there are a whole lot of others as well. And, for instance, the Batman series, if you're aware of that, the Batman series goes into quite a bit of detail when it comes to the fact that this Riddler was suffering from a personality disorder that indeed was nothing. Of course, back in those times, they believed in calling it multiple personality disorder. There is actually no such thing as multiple personalities. That was a bad misdiagnosis many years ago. You only have one personality. It gets fragmented and compartmentalized, and that's what's going on.
So the idea of Britney Spears speaking in many different forms of herself, being the British Britney or the...
Yeah, Britney Spears is another classic example of what happens when they use these people as cash cows. Mind control in Hollywood is just rampant, and always has been. You remember there was a movie out, it was one of the first talkie movies, many years ago, called Trilby, and Trilby was a lady or young girl, beautiful young girl, who was a singer, and she had this evil handler and controller who was a hypnotist. Well, that was almost 100 years ago, my friend.
All right.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like this is new. There's nothing new at all, other than some of the technologies that they have now. They have absolutely no reason to institute trauma. They have no reason to have any one particular handler have to do everything. These people can be accessed anywhere on the planet. And it's the external type of mind control that's so bad.
Now, in speaking on solutions, one thing that Cathy had brought up, and I don't know if she's on with us or going to come on.
Yes, she is. As a matter of fact, I've got 1.5 more minutes before I get her.
I see. Okay. Then I'll just save that for a moment later, because there's some serious questions here dealing with Lindsay Lohan and her calls to Al Gore. But beyond that, the possibilities of us escaping
Why would
this.
Lindsay Lohan call Al Gore?
Oh, she did. Yeah, she did.
Nobody would call Al Gore for anything that I know of.
Oh, that whole story was crazy. I mean, when you start looking at this stuff, I uncovered using your guys' knowledge the Anna Nicole ritual way back in the day. And, using what you have shown me, I was able to express to people what had happened to poor Anna Nicole. Because so often the blame goes on the victim.
Hold on just 1 minute. I've got to...
I want to also say, Mark, thank you so much because I feel like you both have had such an impact on my education as well. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank you, sir, personally, for the work you've done.
Oh, no. My role in all this is the fact that I was educated well and was trained well. And once I got over the part of having to talk publicly about stuff that I would never talk about publicly, the rest of it was easy. And people say, well, Mark, why don't you use notes when you talk? I said, well, if you look at, say, 50 presentations from over a span of 15, 20 years, find one place where I've contradicted myself, just one, and please tell me about it.
Right on.
So it's easy to tell the truth. It's almost, it's to tell a lie over and over and over again, you'll eventually believe it yourself and get away with it maybe. But when you're faced with having to talk about a lot of issues and a lot of things, you can make changes in those things by your brain just changing it. And that's what liars are always caught up with eventually. So
right.
That is what's going on.
And this is Mark Phillips, everyone. You're hearing him right here on the Free Your Mind 2 Conference Radio Marathon with Freeman and Freighter X. We're about to have
Cathy.
I'm on.
Cathy's going to come on. Oh, and this is awesome. I just want to give out the number to anybody who wants to call in, 215-500-0354 for donations to the Free Your Mind Conference, 215-490-2772 as well. And now it is an honor to be here with Cathy O'Brien. Welcome so much to our little conversation.
Thank you. We're certainly looking forward to your upcoming event, and Free Your Mind is what people need most of all right now.
I'm going to step away from the line so you'll have a clear line, Cathy.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, honey.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you, Mark, at the Free Your Mind Conference in April.
It's going to be wonderful, and the time is just perfect for an event like this, and I'm excited at the prospects of opening some people's minds and expanding their thinking so they can see what is going on in the world today. People aren't as horrible as the media are making us appear, and it's just time for people to open their eyes and realize what's really happening. Mind control is the key.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, absolutely. Hit it right on the head. And that's a message I hear Freeman speak, and I myself speak all the time, is that we have an inherent belief of the goodness of humanity, contrary to the media's assessment.
Exactly. And yet the social engineering that's gone on through the media has been really, I've had a view of the inside of this social engineering monster from my experience in MK Ultra mind control. And knowledge is our only defense against mind control, whether it's the kind of robotic mind control I endured, or it's the kind of social engineering that is going on today. All mind control is rooted in the way that the human brain functions. And when people have the facts and the keys to understand their own brains, to know their own truth, they're going to be able to see the truth that's going on around them and be able to discern it and fully understand it. For example, it's long since been known how the effects of trauma are on a human mind. When a person endures trauma, the brain automatically begins going into a hyper mode in one regard, where it's photographic on one level, and at the same time, there is a suggestibility that is heightened at that time, where the subconscious mind becomes just wide open. Like the conscious mind is just so overwhelmed that it's not doing anything rational. It leaves the subconscious mind open to be led. People got a good clue on this kind of thing. What happened 9/11? It's an event that traumatized the nation, and I'm sure everyone knows where they were and what they were doing when they found out what was happening, because that is a trauma that affects people on the deepest of levels and rendered them highly suggestible and easily led from that point. What I think that wasn't counted on at that time is the strength of the human spirit, because it is on that level, on the spirit level, where our strength is, that have brought people to the ability to be able to see beyond what they're being told and look to the truth. And I think everyone realizes that that certainly was a setup, that whole thing. So.
Right.
Wow, amazing. Everyone, Cathy O'Brien just did it all in 5 minutes.
There you go, free mind.
I mean, you offered an explanation as to why trauma-based mind control is used, and then you offered a solution. It was amazing. I'm just so glad to be here.
I am too. I'm so fortunate to have survived my ordeal, because working on a White House Pentagon level during the Reagan-Bush administration meant that I worked under the likes of Dick Cheney, who was in the Pentagon at the time. And having had to follow orders from him was a trauma in itself. You know, I mean, he's absolutely horrific. But it did give me an inside view into how there's a small handful of criminals that are in control of our government. It's the same handful of criminals that have been in control really throughout my lifetime. Mark and I have been speaking out on mind control now for over 20 years. And my experience with mind control began at birth, because I was born into a multi-generational incest-based family. And because my parents were sexually abused, they were sexually abusing me. And my father was very poor, was earning his living as a worm digger, until he found that he could make more money through the local Michigan Mafia pornography ring. I was born in 1957 in Muskegon, Michigan. And at that time, the child pornography was just really coming into being, and it was going through this the local Michigan Mafia pornography ring. My father definitely was earning more money that way, and by the time I was about 5 years old, we had a visit from a local politician who was involved in sanctioning this pornography ring. And when pornography of me was discovered, I was targeted for MK Ultra mind control at that time, because any child who has been abused to the point of being used in pornography, especially the kind of horrible pornography that I was exposed to at such a young age, is going to be suffering from dissociative disorder. This dissociation is what I was referring to, where the subconscious mind is left to be is left highly suggestible, while the conscious mind is just taking flight, because what's happening is just so consciously incomprehensible. And I certainly couldn't consciously comprehend what was happening to me as a young child. I couldn't even really process that much pain that I was enduring. And yet my brain went into an automatic mode of compartmentalizing the memory of the trauma of that event so the rest of my mind could function in society where people weren't quite seeing what was going on in school. Well, the person that was sanctioning the local Michigan mafia pornography ring approached my father and told him that he could receive immunity from prosecution if he would sell me into MK Ultra. And boy, my father was excited about that, and he felt like the government condoned child abuse, which, certainly appears to be the case because the politician, at that time, the local politician was Gerald Ford. This is the same Gerald Ford that went on to head the Warren Commission that covered up the Kennedy assassination and became the unelected president of the United States. That put me into the political realm of MK Ultra. MK Ultra was in full swing by that time through the CIA, and the CIA had joined forces with what the Catholics learned about the effects of trauma on the human mind through such things as the Spanish Inquisition, and what they knew was already well established, and the occult trauma, the effect that it has on people actually leaves them easily led in a religious direction, which is the kind of what the Catholics had going on. Of course, in later years, we get a little bit of a peek into their deliberate effort behind it with the Catholic child abuse scandal and how widespread and prolific it is throughout the Catholic Church. But back when I was just a little bitty thing growing up, people weren't quite aware of that, but the CIA certainly was. And they had the information through Project Paperclip on what Hitler-Himmler research had gleaned from the effects of trauma on the human mind, and how Nazi Germany was led through mind control. I think that's pretty well established. People know about the Nazi mind control. That, that combined with what the Catholics knew is what the CIA had. That is the basis for MK Ultra mind control. So they already had a well-established, well-rooted ability to control not only the minds of individuals, but the minds of the masses. And this was even before television and all that came on, because television is a powerful tool for controlling the minds of the masses. I think connecting the dots a little bit on some of this, considering that Gerald Ford was so heavily involved in my MK Ultra mind control victimization, you look at his presidential cabinet. He had George Bush as head of the CIA, Dick Cheney as his Secretary of State, Donald Rumsfeld as Secretary of Defense, and his press secretary was Jack Valenti. Jack Valenti was head of the Motion Picture Association that controlled what was going into the minds of the people through television way back early on. So it's kind of getting a little bit clearer to see how deeply rooted this mind control mechanism is in our society.
Well, we watch Werner von Braun working with Walt Disney, and you have no questions about this. We find out that he actually taught Joseph Goebbels how to do propaganda in cartoons, and Walt Disney was the head of the American Moral Movie Association.
Yeah, that's so exciting for you to say that, because it's like how people are thinking now. They're getting it. Man, when Mark and I first started speaking out, over 20 years ago, it was right after he rescued my daughter and I from our mind control victimization. I couldn't no longer think for myself. I had endured so much trauma from childhood and so much deliberate trauma thereafter for controlling the mind. And military and NASA installations is where my programming went on. It was real high tech and, heavily established at that time. Mind control was still not so widely known in this country. People were being blindsided by it and didn't see it creeping into our society and sneaking in. So when Mark and I first started speaking out and trying to get help for my daughter, Kelly, people didn't know what we were talking about at first. And now people definitely have a point of reference for it. We're seeing what's happening to our military when they're coming back untreated from the wars with post-traumatic stress disorder of the highest level, definitely in need of help. And the training mechanisms that were used on the military, what back then, in my victimization years, and was called virtual reality. Of course, from there we went into video games because computerization was just really coming on strong and becoming a part of society to the point where, kids have video games now. And the first video games that were coming out were those that had been used to train our military. It was used to bypass critical analysis and pump it into the subconscious mind in a way where they could point and shoot without, stopping to care or wondering.
Let's talk about a little more. A couple more levels of this programming that we have in our society because, video games, absolutely, the movies. But I had heard you once talk about fast food. And I remember Lindsay Lohan tweeting about, needing her McDonald's French fries. And I remember Britney Spears freaking out while she was in the institution needing these McDonald's French fries. Are these weapon systems involved in this as well? Fast food?
Absolutely. Look who was head of Monsanto when aspartame, however people pronounce it, was put in our society. This artificial sweetener has a way of lowering critical analysis and dumbing down a population. And it has been put into our food system in a ridiculous level because it's even in a sugared candy bar. We have to have our artificial sweetener pumped in it because it's dumbing down our society. There's different ways that this is being used, and absolutely the whole fast food industry and what is being done to genetically modify our foods is one more way that's affecting the critical analysis thinking that people do have.
And there was one last thing that I promised I would bring up with you, and that is, as I traveled around and met all the listeners to my show to prove to the world that the world was actually good and loving and that they wouldn't kill me.
That. Good, thank you.
I went and met a bunch of strangers that liked me, I had never met them, but they all knew who I was, so it worked out well. But every house that I visited and every awakened person that I meet is inevitably not only using Dr. Bronner's soap, but they smoke pot.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was the only drug that was forbidden. The black ops I worked for the CIA was the cocaine industry that was just so strong. It was a black budget funding operation and most likely still is. Of course, this is all heavily documented in Transformation of America, which has had the National Security Act invoked on it, which validates it that much more. But the only drug that was absolutely forbidden in our society was marijuana because it has the capacity of actually stimulating neuron pathways and opening them, and they're wanting to close those neuron pathways through, like we were just talking about, not only the foods, but the trauma, the constant trauma in front of us, that shuts it down. And those all have just a real powerful effect, and has had a powerful effect on our society. I'm just really glad to know that you're out there talking about the good aspects, because once people realize the truth and expand their thinking beyond what the media is pumping into our heads, we're going to be able to realize that humanity is good. We are good. These people are good. We're just given a few really bad examples of people who are programmed. You look at all of the massacres, check every one of them. The common thread is military intelligence going through them in some level. Definitely real strong, and there's no question that mind control is being used. These aren't people that are just choosing to do this. These are people who are being controlled heavily the same way that I was. I certainly would not have participated in the criminal covert activities that I was forced to in the Reagan-Bush administration. I would not have been involved in the horrible drug industry that has been perpetuated in this country, which is just eroded morality in so many ways. And, like you mentioned, though, the one thing is that marijuana was forbidden, so strong, and I certainly was never exposed to it. It was strictly forbidden. It is strictly forbidden in our military, and yet at this point, there's a huge movement in our society where it's been being used medicinally. And that medicinal use is expanding into medicinal psychological use because they're finding that it's helping our soldiers with PTSD. It's helping people to be able to, to have the neural pathways open back up, that mind expansion aspect of it. It's definitely just now coming to light, and with that, I think we're going to see a lot more awareness rising.
Well, there you have it, folks, from the source, Cathy O'Brien. I mean, that's a lot of clarity there, and I think that I don't have a hard time agreeing with that at all, and I'm sure Freeman too.
Well, yeah, like I said. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, please carry on.
Oh, there's just so many details that would help, I think, probably take people from point A to point B, a little bit smoother than just getting all excited and jumping ahead like I do. But we've been talking about this for so long, and I'm so ready for solutions, and I'm looking forward to our seminar with you all, the Free Your Mind, because that's exactly what's needed. And once people have their minds free, they can gather their strength of spirit, and the strength of spirit is what is absolutely our saving grace and going to keep us free.
Absolutely. Creative play, the heart of the child, the necessary innocence to share with one another, and the security, right? That is the key.
Yes. Absolutely. And when people love is the most powerful force in the universe. And when Mark rescued my daughter and I had my first view of love. I was safe for the first time in my life, and I knew love. To know love, but the first time I saw it was in his pets, because Mark has a way with animals, and his animals just loved him. He had coons and fox and dogs. He had all kinds of animals, and they all loved him. And that was something new to me, because everybody I knew, the people I was exposed to, abused animals. But he didn't. He loved his animals. And that had a real strong impression on me, because I couldn't think to trust Mark. I knew through the animals trusting, I could sense that. And that was my first inkling towards free thought. And it was on love, and it was through what I saw in animals. When we get back to some of the most basic respect for life and caring again, it's going to be easy to see the potential and where we're actually going as a society as people free their minds.
Fantastically stated.
Well, truth makes us free. There's no question about that. And once I was safe and once I knew that love, I felt secure enough to be able to start remembering those things that I'd been programmed to forget, and those things that so many criminals in control of our government were just certain that I would never be able to remember. But that's because they didn't count on the strength of the human spirit or the power of love. That's where they lose. that's where we win, and it's time that we reclaim our victory.
Absolutely. Go out and make some friends. Interact with the people that you see in your world around you, right? Talk to somebody at the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah, kindness goes a long way, and that's the first step. That's what we need.
Cathy,
I'm
your
really
story...
glad to hear you saying that.
Yeah, well, your story, being as traumatic as it is, and was a very dark study, brought this light out to the world. So I'm so thankful that you actually wrote this down, brought it to the public attention, went through all the court cases and all the extra trauma you did just to bring the truth out. I commend you wholeheartedly, and thank you for sending us on a new tirade as we start to unveil these very same things now with the new generation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to it, to the event, and to continue watching the positive change that is happening in our society with the awareness that is rising, thanks to good people like yourself. And there's a lot of good people out there that are that know that truth makes us free.
That's right, and you and Mark as well. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Phillips and Cathy O'Brien, who are going to be our extra special featured guests at the Free Your Mind Conference 2 in Philadelphia, April 25th, 26th, 27th. The website is freeyourmindconference.com. Cathy, do you want to give out a website before you go for folks to check out anything else, especially to check out your new book, Access Denied?
Yes, we're at trance-formation.com. That's trance, TRANCE-formation.com. And yes, thank you for mentioning that Access Denied, because people all over the world are using the healing methods that Mark taught me. They're applying them to themselves and are healing from varying levels of abuse, trauma, and control. So, again, truth makes us free.
No, thank you. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to just be talking with you and to see your presentation at the Free Your Mind too. So I want to give you a copy of our new magazine, Weird Stuff, that's going to go deep into a lot of what you cover, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. So maybe I can give you a pre-release, and I would love that. That would really make my day.
Yeah, I would too. That'd be great.
All right.
That'd be great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so
Cathy.
much, Cathy. Thank you, Mark, as well. And anybody, have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody wants to call in now, 215-500-0354 for a donation to this event. That was amazing, wasn't it, Freeman?
Yeah, Cathy never fails. She has that message, the spirit and the heart, everything necessary to share, and this is somebody who has been through the worst of the worst. I mean, you cannot complain. Don't even talk to me if you haven't read her experience with Dick Cheney about your suffering. This woman has gone through that meat grinder and come out saying, I love you. That should be the lesson that's come through. That's the forget learning about the horror that is trauma-based mind control, because you're watching it in your movies. You're eating it for breakfast. This is every day to you. But recognize what can come out of that, the very honest connection of love that set her free out of this situation. That's what's at the core of this whole scenario.
That's well put, Freeman. It really is. I mean, if there's any other testimony to the inherent goodness of the human heart to endure so much and to continue to love and to give humanity a chance. And that's awesome. That's altruism at its best, as far as I'm concerned. And I think we have to take another little break here, because we've got Lennon Honor will be coming on next, ladies and gentlemen, out of the West Coast to speak with us. So we want to be able to take a break to get that connection right, because we've been having some troubles all along. For anybody who's just joining us, you can call in to help to bring these amazing speakers and researchers, filmmakers and authors to the Free Your Mind Conference in April. This is the 12-hour marathon. Anybody who wants to call in to donate, 215-500-0354 or 215-490-2772. Also the website, freeyourmindconference.com.